back to my channel, you guys. Yes, I got a new car. So I'm so excited about this upload. I have spent so many days and hours getting it ready and prepared for you guys. So I hope you like it. I also hope that it's helpful for some of you that are looking for cars, or maybe you are thinking about getting a new car, but you're intimidated by the whole process. You don't really know what goes into the car buying process. So I just wanted to document the whole start to finish, from me deciding, okay, maybe I want a new car, to actually buying the car. Now, disclaimer, it is not a new car at a car dealership. It is a used car that I got, but it's new for me. It's a 2018 model that I got. And if you follow me on Instagram, then you already know the car that I got. I could not keep it a secret. Follow me on Instagram if you don't already, because I give all the surprises away. Also, if you're wondering why I'm sitting here beside a plant, I just figured I'd give you guys something pretty to look at if you get tired of looking at me. I also have my notes to stay on topic, so let's hope that they work, because you guys know I can get long-winded when I'm excited. But I do want to give you guys some shortcuts if you want to fast forward to some key parts of this video. I will start with the actual car shopping, the priorities of what I was looking for, what I didn't care to have in a car. You can fast forward to my first test drive. You can skip ahead to the actual car that I bought. And lastly, you can fast forward to how much I actually paid for the car and how the whole financing process worked. So the last thing you guys heard was that I was not gonna get a new car until my wheels fell off, because I loved my Ford Focus so much. So the reason I started car shopping was kind of just a timing thing. It just kind of worked out. I knew that soon, within the next like 2 years or so, I would need to get a newer car, just because mine is getting old. It is a 2007 and it would last a couple of years, but it actually just so happened that my dad just sold his truck that he drives to work every day, because they sold the camper and they actually upgraded to an RV now. So he no longer needs a truck, and he was just gonna go buy a really cheap car. So dad was gonna take my car off my hands whenever I was ready to give it up. So that kind of worked out. I also just paid off my LASIK eye surgery. For those of you who don't know, I got LASIK back in December, and I was on a 2-year payment plan, but I actually paid it off in 6 months, which is really great. So just financially, it seemed fine to go ahead and get a new car, even though it is a huge purchase. So I didn't actually give myself an official budget. I am pretty financially responsible, and I'm very frugal just naturally as a person. So I didn't want to turn down my dream car if it fell from the clouds and I was like, oh my gosh, it's $500 over my budget, I can't buy it. But that being said, when I was online searching, I didn't look up any cars over about $20,000. I was just kind of getting into luxury for me, more than what I personally need in a car. And I knew this whole car shopping thing was going to be a very stressful process for me. I just know myself. So I decided from the day that I started shopping for a vehicle that I was going to be in a new car within 2 weeks. I gave myself 2 weeks to find the car for me, because I did not want to drag the stress on any longer than it had to be. And yeah, over a month later, I finally purchased the car after hours and hours and hours of researching. The more I started looking, the pickier I got, and I think that's okay. I mean, it's a very expensive purchase. This is your time to be picky, depending on your budget, of course, and what you're looking for. But there were a few things I was 100% certain what I wanted in a car, and that was a 4-door sedan. For sure, I wanted an actual car. A random perk that I wanted was a sunroof. I was very adamant about having a sunroof. I wanted an automatic transmission and cloth seats. That was very important for me. I just do not like leather at all. But the cloth seats was really hard to track down, because so many people prefer leather. So that one was a hard one. So I was sold on these priorities for about 3 weeks of online searching for these cars. So in the actual car hunt, I trolled CarMax's website for weeks. I was on there multiple times a day, every evening. I had driven to CarMax multiple times here in Knoxville to go look at their inventory. And I started narrowing down the cars that I really liked, such as the Ford Focus, which is what I currently drive, and it's held up really well, and I just really appreciate the Ford Focus. Also the Toyota Prius, which is a much more expensive car, but definitely a better car. I toyed around with the Chevy Cruze. I wasn't in love with that car. It is on the cheaper end, but it is a very small, compact car. I think it would do fine. I don't need to explain the Toyota Camry. We've all seen them all over the place. They are really great cars that hold up for so long. And the car that I fell in love with was the Honda Civic. I had my heart set on this car for a couple weeks, and they're just so cute, specifically the hatchback, because I would have more trunk space. I strayed away from CarMax sometimes and used this car platform called Car Gurus, and you basically key in what you're looking for in a car, and it pulls from all your local dealers in the area. And you guys are gonna laugh at this, but I found a Honda Civic that I absolutely loved, and instead of being hassled by car salesmen going by myself, I decided to go on Google Maps and look up this dealership of this Honda Civic, and I looked at Street View to look at the security and the fencing, the gates, the entrances, the exits of the car dealership to see if I would be able to actually look at the car on their lot. So I actually went to this dealership after they closed. It's about a 45-minute drive to go look at this Honda Civic. I just wanted to physically see it without having a salesman there in my way. And it was actually not in the lot, but I did get to look at another Honda Civic that was a much newer model. It was way out of my so-called budget, and it wasn't a hatchback. So I didn't love it, but it was kind of cool just to see it in person. So I could go on and on about this whole car hunt, but long story short, I took advantage of CarMax's low shipping fee during Corona. So I paid $100 for a shipping fee. I kind of halfway vlogged this portion for you guys, so I'll let you guys see that. All right, guys, it is time for my first test drive. I got a car shipped all the way up from Indianapolis, Indiana, through CarMax. It took 8 days to get here, but it is here, so I'm gonna go test drive it. It's also gonna be rush hour in West Knoxville, in Turkey Creek, very crowded. It's gonna be a fun test drive. We hope you guys are ready. Let's hope I like it, but let's also hope that
I don't feel pressure to buy anything, and if I'm not happy with it, then I can happily walk away without feeling any remorse or regret or paying a $100 shipping fee.
So yeah, let's do it. CarMax was actually extremely busy the day that we went for the test drive, but I finally got to go outside and look at the car that I had shipped. It was this beautiful royal blue color that I absolutely loved. I also loved the wheels, but I mean, you can get those replaced pretty easily. And I just really thought this car was super cute, but apparently the car had a flat tire, even though it passed inspection from getting off the truck the day before. So yeah, you guys, the car that I got shipped from Indiana had a flat tire, and it just made it through inspection yesterday and didn't have a flat tire, so I don't know what happened. So I was not able to test drive it. It was that blue Focus. It's a hatchback 2018. I really like it. I think it's really pretty. However, I am very stuck on not wanting the gas tank to be on the passenger side. I can do a whole video about the sketchy situations I've been at gas stations where somebody pulls up and blocks my driver's side in when I'm pumping gas and I can't get in my own car. So I've had to crawl in through the passenger side. I think because of those experiences, I'm going to be very adamant on wanting it on the driver's side. Unfortunately, the Ford Focus just doesn't have that, even though I love the Focus. I've been driving it forever. So I don't think I'm going to get the blue car regardless. I do want to test drive it. I think if everything was perfect except for the gas tank, then it would be fine. But I don't know how long I'm going to drive the car. It could be another 10 years and there I'm stuck in these sketchy situations at gas stations. So long story short, I've been looking at a Honda Civic as well. So I test drove a 2015 today. It was black. I don't want a black car, and it was a trunk and not a hatchback. So not necessarily the ideal car, but at least I got to drive a Honda just to see, and I really liked it. It was very smooth. Honda is definitely more in value than a Ford anyways, so just a nicer car in general. In the Civic, my car had a flat tire. That's a bad sign. It's pretty groovy in here, y'all. Everybody probably knows that because they all have new cars. I'm only driving around a 14-year-old car. So yeah, spontaneously test driving this Civic was really great. I got to see the inside. It was pretty roomy for a small car. This specific car had leather seats. It was also black, which were two things I didn't want, but I'm really glad that I got to test drive it. All of the fancy features inside made me feel like I was driving a spaceship, but that's just part of getting a newer car. Oh, look at that smooth acceleration. Walked all three of my passengers in the back seat that I've never had. Did you open up the sunroof? Do we know that works? Dad was out here doing the most to get you guys some good camera angles. Oh, I want to test the windshield wipers, but it's not really wet. So weird.
It's quiet and smooth.
We're on the opposite side.
And then the blinker turns on the right camera.
And then my 2 cup holders, which I'm used to that kind of setup. I like the e-brake being here.
HDMI.
Yeah, what's HDMI for? DVD player? PlayStation? Mine's a dash space up there. Got a whole laptop.
Put a desktop up here.
So I am so thankful that I got the opportunity to test drive the Civic because it let me know that I'm just not a fan of being that low to the ground. I couldn't see the front corners of the car or the back corners. I couldn't see super well out of the back trunk. And I just assumed if I bought a Civic, I'd be able to raise the seat up higher. But my dad, who's 6'6", couldn't see the corners of the car either. So that was kind of concerning. It really strayed me away from the Civic. So at this point, it had been 3 weeks of intensely searching for the parameters in a car that I shared with you guys earlier. And I kind of broadened my scope of what I was looking for. and I toyed around with the idea of getting an SUV, which I really did not want. I was so adamant about a car. But on the practical end of what I would be using the car for, I just got an inflatable kayak. I also just go on many adventures in general, and I'm always on Facebook Marketplace trying to get cool little furniture pieces for my apartment. So the larger trunk space was becoming more and more practical and necessary the more I thought about what I would actually be using my car for the next, who knows, 8-10 years. But SUVs are just so big. I like being a tiny little car on the road. And during this whole car search, I actually ended up driving my sister's Ford Escape. I had to drive her and Ellie to the hospital because Ellie cut her hand open and had to get stitches. She's fine, by the way. The stitches came out really well, healed up great. She's good to go. But I'm glad I got to drive her car because it just felt so massively huge. I felt like I was driving a bus. So I wanted to still look for a car, but I toyed around with the idea of a compact SUV. So at this point, I really like the Chevy Trax, which is actually a newer version of my very first car. I had a Chevy Tracker back in high school and I loved it. It was really old. I halfway thought about the Honda Fit or the Chevy Spark, both of which are not necessarily SUVs. They're really cars that are bigger hatchback. They kind of look humorous to me. They kind of look like a clown car. No offense if any of you drive that. They are super cute. And this actually brought me back to the Toyota Prius because of the hatchback and also just the miles per gallon gas mileage is so amazing with the Prius. It's also a Toyota and they last forever. So the day before I was actually going to go out of town to look at a Toyota Prius, I noticed one of my neighbors at my apartment drove a Honda HR-V and it was smaller than the CR-V. And I was like, that's such a cute SUV. It's really small, compact. And I like that the back doors handles were kind of part of the window. It kind of gave it this cute aesthetic where it looks like a 2-door SUV, but it's really a 4-door SUV. So then I started the hunt for a Honda HR-V because why not? And I fell in love with a blue one over an hour away and I really wanted to go look at it, but it was a work night, a weeknight. So Dad was just like, hey, let's see if they have one at a local Knoxville dealership. You don't have to buy it. We'll just test drive it and leave. And then if you really like it, we'll drive the hour and a half this weekend to go look at the one out of town. So that's what we did. I took a power nap after work and I headed over to my parents' house, picked up Dad, and we headed to the Honda dealership. I looked online first and noticed they had both a 2018 and a 2019 model in inventory. So I looked at the 2018 model and the door was actually unlocked. And it was a long time before a salesman came out there and found us. So we had already searched the whole car. I had seen all the features and it looked like a brand new car on the inside. Like, it was crazy to me that it was pre-owned. Someone had taken really good care of this car. And the cloth seats were the high quality cloth seats. It had a sunroof and the wheels were super nice. I planned to actually buy new rims for whatever car that I got. That was just already in my budget. So I test drove this 2018 HR-V and I knew instantly it was my car. This was my car. It all came down to this moment. I am buying this car. I had all the warm fuzzies. I had all the assurance. It was literally like the Lord had spoken over me saying, Heaven, this is your car. The funny thing about this whole process at this point was that me and Dad had not eaten dinner because we literally just planned to test drive this car and leave and go get dinner. We had gotten there at like 5:30 and we didn't leave until 9. No snacks, literally starving to death. So Dad is such a trooper. I was just so excited. Adrenaline was fueling me. I didn't need food. So I ended up buying this 2018 white HR-V and I drove off the lot in the pitch black. So I was nervous the whole way home because it's a new car. I don't know how to drive it yet. So the whole process of buying the car was so painless and smooth. It did take a while. It's gonna take a while if you're financing. If you're gonna go in and just pay for cash for a car, then that'll save you hours of time. Also, side note, my goal a few years ago was to save up and buy my next car with cash. And I would say life happens or some lame excuse, but really I was just committed to paying off my student loans as quick as possible. So that's where I've been putting all of my extra funds in the recent years. So the experience at this dealership, it was AutoNation Honda there in West Knoxville, for those of you that are local in the area. The salesman we had was just so kind, nice, laid back, like the coolest guy. He was so knowledgeable about the car. He was so helpful. He answered all our questions. He gave his own opinion on things he liked or didn't like to, like, you know, give us questions we wouldn't have thought about. Super helpful guy. Also, the finance guy was extremely nice, helpful. So my plan into buying the car was to put down between $5,000 and $8,000 for a down payment, depending on the price of the car. And this specific car that I bought cost a little over $18,000. It was a really odd amount, like $18,700. I wanted to add that typically at a dealership, you do not have to pay sticker price because you can haggle them down and negotiate. But the dealership that we went to is set up like CarMax. It is completely sticker price only. And this particular car that I looked at was priced really well, according to all the research that I've done in the area on the Honda HR-V. So I was thrilled. So as far as the interest rate went, my credit union was offering 3.29%, which was kind of high, but it was a standard going into this that I had in the back of my mind. you know, when in doubt, whatever agencies that they're able to pull at the dealership, I know that I can get 3.29. And luckily I have an excellent credit score. So the dealership ran my loan application to like over 30 lenders. They had so many, and they came back with 3.92%, which was higher than the credit union offered, and just high in general. That's almost 4%. And I'd asked him if they could get any lower, and he said we're actually waiting on 2 more agencies. So a little while later, he came back with 2.59%, and I was ecstatic. That was much better than the credit union. It was much better than they originally offered. That is what I agreed upon, and I ended up paying a down payment of $6,000, and I got a 60-month loan, which is 5 years. I was gonna get a 4-year loan, but obviously your payment's gonna be more, and I didn't want to risk like losing my job or being in like serious financial trouble and regretting a larger payment when I could have gotten a smaller payment, but actually overpaid each month anyways. So my monthly payment is $267 for 6 years, which is not bad at all. And after over an hour of signing paperwork, over 3 hours at the dealership, the car was mine, and I got to drive off with it completely unexpectedly, planning to buy a car that night. 100% test driving and leaving to get dinner, and I ended up buying a car. This video is already getting so long with the details about this car. It's obviously white, which is lighter in the summer, especially here in the south. It is cloth seats, and it's not black cloth, which I'm so excited for because black is so hot. It's a nice beige color. It literally looks like a new car in here. It's got all the fancy gadgets inside, which I probably won't use half of it, but at least my money was going to a good cause. I've already got to drive this car up the Smoky Mountains to go camping with Amy, as you guys saw in my last video. And that drive made me very thankful that it is a compact SUV and nothing bigger. The back seat is super cool. The seats lay completely flat to give you a huge trunk, but they also fold up, so you get to use the entire floorboard for groceries or hauling dogs around. It has a sunroof, and most importantly, it had the gas tank on the driver's side. And I absolutely love my car so much. I'm just so thankful with how all of this worked out. Just the piece of my decision. I wasn't nervous at all signing the papers or writing a $6,000 check. I just knew this was my car, and it was just the biggest burden lifted off my shoulders. So as for my old Ford Focus that has lasted me over 8 years, that I love so much, I actually got it detailed on the inside for Dad with this local detailing company. I'll leave their info in the description box below for any of you in the Knoxville area. And I'm not a sentimental person, hardly at all, but that car is a significant part of my life. I feel like it's part of me, so it just means the world to me to have Dad drive it around. And after I got it detailed, I was like, why the heck did I not do this years ago? It looks like a new car on the inside. My dad actually paid me $1,500 for the car, which was so kind of him. He didn't need to, but it helped for my down payment, so I'm very thankful. And I'm just overwhelmed with how well this all worked out. I'm just so blessed. I stayed in constant prayer throughout this entire journey. And I know that sounds silly to anybody that's like, it's a material item, who cares? God's not with you when you're buying this, but he absolutely is. And he wants you to have peace about the decisions you make. The little tiny stresses in your life that really mean nothing in the grand scheme of things is still important to the Lord. And I'm just so thankful that he gave me just ultimate peace with this decision, and I definitely have the right car for me, and I'm so thankful. So anywho, that was my car buying journey. I now have a new car, and I'm so excited, and I want to thank you guys just for watching this video. I hope it was helpful if you're looking into buying a new car, if you're curious about the car buying process. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.